Hallo und herzlich willkommen zur ersten Ausgabe von Auf Die Fresse, the WXW review podcast in English. I'm Ian Hamilton, joined with Mike Kilby, and we thought we'd give us a go being a bit more frequent since the Carat pods went down well. Mike, how are you doing?
Good. I didn't realise he was doing the start of it in German. I thought I'd signed up for the wrong show there, but
You watched the Fantastic CMJ, you picked something up anyway.
Well, yeah. I've always wanted to watch them a bit more intently, but unfortunately, a little bit slight in the old German these days.
Yeah, well, we only get to practice it, 2-3 times a week, unless 2-3 times a year, even unless we want to watch the.
There's no chance. Nobody has any patience.
Yeah, Duolingo maybe not the most used app on my phone these days.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, I mean, guess since a lot of folks heard us do the Carat preview and review,
Yeah.
I don't know, we want to give a bit of background to everyone listening, how we both got into following WXW, because I guess both our origin stories, for one better word, be a little bit different to each other's.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I've wanted to do something like this for a very long time, and it's kind of always been trying to find the right sort of output for it, and having somebody sort of do all the hard work for me as well is also good. No, I've been into WXW for trying a number of years. I sort of joined in sort of halfway through 2016. I used to do a radio show called Rock Bottom Radio, which some people sort of originally sort of knew me from. It was a student radio station, a student radio chat show, and one of the guests we had on was Bad Bones and Alpha Female. So sort of trying to do a bit of swatting up on them. I put on, I think it was the 15th anniversary one. The 15th, well, it was one of the anniversary shows. It was the one previous to 2016. Yeah, I kind of loved it. There was people I already knew. There's people I'd sort of heard of, and there was completely new people. It was unlike anything I'd ever really seen, especially in Europe. The standard of it was just, for me, it was just really, really exciting, sort of seeing a promotion that was as innovative, I think is probably the word for it. And then sort of through Rock Bottom Radio, got through to WXW through sort of the press. What's the thing? Invite the media center. That's it. God, I've forgotten the word of it. It's been so long. Got invited through the press media centers, and then obviously that's how I think me and you really started hanging out. Really, I suppose through that. But that was for Carat 17, and I've sort of been hooked ever since. Really.
I guess, I mean, for me, it's probably the same kind of time frame. Obviously, WXW now started for August 2016.
Yes.
No, I think before then, the only real way, unless you're like the Alan Farrells of the world, where you're actually going on buying the DVDs, it was like back Ring of Honor back in the day. If you were following the product, you were kind of following up on DVDs for whole shows. You ever had the Shotgun, on YouTube? At the time was most clips.
Shotgun was my gateway drug.
Yeah, it was a hell of a gateway drug for a lot of us. But yeah, I mean, I think looking back, first real shows I followed, because back then, Back Body Drop was, I think, only Wee Ben at the time. First shows I started covering was the 2016 World Tag League, and then it's like, well, hey, Shotguns every week. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday from there, and back then it was appointment viewing. Like, there's a community of us all, every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock our time. I think it was 7, 8 o'clock.
I think it used to drop about 6 because it was 7 in Germany.
Oh yeah. At times, yeah. But everyone was jumping on. And you could see who'd clipped a bit further ahead, who's a bit late. That particular week. It was just the kind of community. Like, okay, yeah, you've got the network, you've got some TV shows or some wrestling TV, but to have a show where it's dropped on Vimeo at the time, as it is now, but Vimeo, not rebrand them, was dropped at a set time every week, and just seeing everyone pretty much flock to it.
That was always
spirit of WXW. I think's always had even from day one from us following anyway.
That was always when you say it like that, it was always a bit of a stretch, because I've never experienced any non-live show to be live tweeted in the same way that Shotgun was. because really there was never. I can't think of anything else that was sort of it dropped at 7 and people were watching it at 5 past. You know,
Yeah.
I've
You get
never
people
sort
doing
of
like
experienced that with
screenshot
anything.
gifs.
So yeah, very odd, isn't it? But yeah, innovative. And as I say, I've said on multiple times, it's in my opinion, I think during that time period, it was the best promotion it was the best promotion in the world, in my opinion. I think sort of at least by pretty much every metric, it stacked up against the very best in the world, and it was best indie promotion, if not the best promotion in general.
Yeah. I'm just looking to see like the data. It's now launched, and I found they put out a press kit at the time.
Oh yeah,
Like load of quote sounds like pivot share, but we've got some unique content. I mean, obviously because of restrictions Vimeo's got, storage limits. And I think we touched on this last time. A lot of the original stuff, like the Spielab and the
yeah.
a lot of the documentary, sadly no longer on the service. We can hope they come back in some other form, but just the way we're trumpeting, parading, for a better word, like marquee events for our PPV caliber shows.
Yeah.
They're going to be filmed with 5 HD cameras and available 72 hours after the last bell sounded. And it's like, we'll be touching on release dates, the end of the show for the stuff. That was groundbreaking. Like, back at the time, this isn't necessarily a slight on British promotions, but
I know exactly who you was about to talk about.
yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, they've literally just gone a month without uploading stuff, but like Progress, they would have 2-3 guys with the DSLR cameras. RevPro had the cameras, but you wouldn't be 3 days between the show being filmed and turned around. And this is back before promotions had the beauty of the live editing. I know if Carat Vape really put over catchy pills for a lot of stuff. Like it was that whole thing they showed over one Carat weekend a few years back, where it's literally final bell, get all the SD cards out for cameras, dump them onto a Dell laptop,
run upstairs.
It's like those weekends really were fueled by Monster, and when you're looking like Back to Roots, Dead End, over 16 Carat Gold, True Cult, Superstar of Wrestling, Shortcut at the Top, Fan, Tag League, Broken Rules Anniversary, and it's like you've got all those shows where you are pretty much committing straight up. You pay your however much a month it was, and you'll get these shows 72 hours from 72 hours late, so Saturday, Sunday, you get them Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's like that was unheard of. And back then, we were also running your shotguns on top. They were doing a massive touring schedule. If you remember the banners where they had it shows, and in the academy until recently, we've had all the dates listed. Like that was a massive amount of work filming and editing, and it worked. I mean, it got both of us hooked, at least on the on-demand side.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is something that was done in 2016. I think 72-hour turnarounds in 2022 would be pretty innovative for a lot of promotions, to be honest. So yeah, I think it was certainly one of the main reasons, and I think the value in it has always been there's always been something interesting to see, and the beauty of a promotion that is 22 years old this year is that there's a lot of archive things, there's a lot of lore, and there's things that they can call back to, and like there's like for example some of the shows where it's like been the I'm intensely jealous of anybody who can watch those. Is it the Timeline WXW shows?
Yeah, the series with Taz, Felix,
I would love to be able to sit and watch them, but unfortunately, I haven't got a Scooby Doo. What's been said, so it's one that I would sort of them sort of shows. You sort of mentioned our CMJ. The Conversations shows are always really good. I think some of them are coming off the thing now, aren't they?
The early ones, yeah. I mean, we did the lockdown series where it was Dennis and Robert Dreisker sat in the studio, literally with a piece of perspex between them, which I always found. I don't say found it's not just strange, like back then was all stay at home, and again, I don't know what restrictions
were.
But you see like this piece of perspex dangling between them. It's like, is that? I mean, again, you did what you needed to do, 2 years ago, but again, that was when they after the last Carat 2 years back. They had that Wheel of Wrestling show, and then it was crap. We have no content, and we have a VOD platform. and to their credit, they found ways to get content out there.
Yeah,
It
for
wasn't
sure.
just relying on, well, we have X years of DVDs with ripoffs up there. No, we did the best of 2005 series, I think was Andy Jackson did.
Yeah,
They made that into a regularish series. So again, that's part of the benefit of actually having your own back catalogue and being able to respond to it. 1 year you can go through and have, was it the Slam Masters 2 and Mannheim or whatever it was, the Bad
yeah,
Bones Emil Stolci match, which I think they'd rather forget, but just random shows like that. Or there's one I DM'd you about earlier, the Zack Sabre Jr. Carsten Beck single light tube match.
yes,
Just random stuff in there where you can go through Cage Match and find I never knew Hiromu Takahashi wrestled in WXW. Hiroshi Tanahashi was Tanahashi
yeah,
Absolute Andy match.
absolute
That's the
Andy.
thing, it's on WXW now. And it's just that sheer breadth and width of the back catalogue. It's well worth the however much it is a month. It is, I think it's what $12.99. I think they're quoting now, but it's well worth it if you just dipping into the back catalogue, let alone the existing stuff.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But
So
it's all WXW now, and we should get a bit of a cut for that. But
yeah,
yeah, so I mean, with Auf Die Fresse, I mean, guess if you've seen any WXW show, you've probably heard it being chanted. And we figured,
yeah,
well, if it sticks, why not run it? But we're not planning on being like any kind of regular, every Wednesday, every Thursday.
no.
That's no. We're looking
We are sort of at the mercy of the release schedule. So,
yes.
yeah,
I mean, previews and reviews, but obviously more of the reviews because, I mean, literally, as I was putting the notes together this afternoon, matches were being changed, which we'll go over afterwards. Covered like any big stories, dip into the past every now and then. I know there's a lot of old shotguns and a lot of, big segments, which, it's clicking around today. And you brought a while back the Timothy Thatcher Dirty Dragon
yes.
like 3 matches, and I found out on a shotgun. I
Not
think
very good, isn't it?
shotgun 336.
I'll
And
take
then
your
once
word for
hunt
it.
around on WXW now, which maybe spoiler alert, was found on a friend Matthew used to write up shotguns, and
Yeah.
literally 2 episodes later is probably one of the most memed or gift moments from Shotgun. Walter
Is
and
it the
CMJ in
is
the
it
fridge.
Walter with the fridge? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just that whole thing of like I said with Shotgun, we'd go for more than just the matches, like those backstage segments, which it could be something like that. Could be Melanie
Or Walter and Tim playing with the Schalke pen. Yeah. So that's the
stay
beauty,
off the Twitter.
and Killer Kelly eating gummy bears with Marius Alani. Like that's the beauty of that was the beauty of Shotgun in that period, is that there's things I actually have more fond memories for weird visual things that happened in Shotgun than actually a lot of the matches.
I don't know. Again, this is the the YouTube algorithm, but every so often YouTube keeps recommending me a Shotgun. I guess like they used to put up the top 5 moments of Shotgun every week,
Oh
and the
yeah,
one it always throws me is one with Melanie Gray. I
with
guess
Bobby in the
the
shower.
yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that one
It's
gets
everything
everything.
that keeps coming. It's like,
That must
again,
that must hit the algorithm quite well from the thumbnail. That's what I think that it does.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, wrestling fan, I mean, but let's not go there. But
Yes,
and last time out, obviously, we talked about carrots. This episode, we're going to talk about the Wheel of Wrestling show, which went up.
we touched on it, but
We touched a little bit, but go in a bit more detail. There's a few bits of news that's come out since then, storyline and otherwise. Then go through other stuff. But I guess what we probably should do is do the stories first. So
yeah, sure.
we ended 16 Carat Gold with Francis Caspin being carried out. Robert Dreisker stretched him, the Arabian clutch, camel clutch kind of thing. The whole I don't like his in terms like the heat of it, I guess, was Caspin has to retire for back injury. Dreisker went after it.
Yeah.
Well, I think last week was announced that Francis Caspin is out as WXW sporting director, a storyline role that's had quite a few faces in it of late. I guess we start all the way back with Christian Michael Jacoby, the spotless lighter. I guess it's the on-screen figurehead of the company. I guess the formalities for all it's presenting the trophy, carrots, and tag league and what have you.
Yeah.
Quick
Well,
time. Yeah.
this was a role obviously that he was kind of doing in real. He was both worked and shoot. He was kind of basically doing this job anyway, wasn't he? So,
That ultimately it's life.
Yeah. So,
but on screen, Jacoby lost for all. He got a little bit too embedded in ring camp, I guess the best way to put it.
yes.
Roland going to Carsten Beck, who had it on and off. Was that one spell in June 2017. He was recovering from cancer, was meant to be doing a big comeback, and was that whole story and angle in Hamburg, where he announced his full-time retirement, and he knocked out Jacoby with the right hand. Since he couldn't do the match.
Yeah.
Beck ended up coming back, as the sporting director. Had a role official at the start of 2020 when he was taken off TV. It was never really written out until the shows.
I mean, the thing which I remember being said about it, because obviously it was Carat. Carat, he wasn't on the show, and I think the thing which was officially said by whoever it was who did the panel was that it was it's been left deliberately ambiguous, and I think obviously, unfortunately, we now know the reason why later on that year, which was obviously a heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, that week in October was not best for wrestling, and again,
yes,
I mean, he wasn't around on screen at Carat. I mean, the last he was on screen, I think, was the 19th anniversary of that whole storyline from Mal. I mean, he was around Carat Weekend. I think we bumped into him outside one of the media centers, but it's obviously not on screen. Jim V Pandemic here, there was no way he was being used on screen. They put Absolute Andy in as the role, hijacking an office, that whole thing where he's showcasing his merch, sellotaping an iPad for a coat hanger to FaceTime Jay Skillett, I think it was.
That was a great
phased out after Shock in 2020 was stopped. It was, the Wheel of Wrestling stuff. I think was Felix Kohlenberg was the representative of the Championship Board of Directors. I think was Wade's phrase. It wasn't the sporting director thing. When we got back in front of fans, Andy, reprised for role was that whole thing at the 20th anniversary show, the delayed one, where he locked. Who was he locked in the office? Norman Harris.
Harris, yeah.
Harris, he was a big feud throughout the empty set shows. He then stepped down. Catch Grand Prix, Francis Caspin took over, had about 6 months, and then obviously written out at Carat in the end. WXW's website just put a statement up, saying that, as confirmed by an orthopedic examination, Francis Caspin's spine was not further damaged. As the conversation continued, Francis informed us he'd be resigning from position with immediate effect. Wish him all the best in his path and thank for his work. Since then, we have been putting up an advert for the role. I would say don't read it into this too much. It's like proper job role, like responsibility for selected ideas from project planning to profitable utilization. Must be willing to travel.
I noticed they didn't put a an email address at the bottom, because much like there's the story of everyone who plays Football Manager submitting applications for any job that comes up in the Football League. I think you do wonder if they were preempting a lot of people with TEW CVs to sort
of. I don't know who's up to these days. I don't know if it's Alex, Chrissy does the social media, or would be put task on his his few hours a day. He's not actually focused on this. Like whichever Pooh Sod made the choice not to put the email address on, you save yourself a lot of time,
yes,
not getting those. But again, it's a storyline. It's not just been a case of eyes quit. We're looking for somebody. In fact, we're following through. It's, I don't say professional, but in terms of it's being portrayed more realistic than you would see on, say, a Monday Night Raw, where someone's just been gets sacked and someone
somebody doing the role the next day.
Yeah. Following upon that, Robert Dreisker has been suspended from all their shows until the end of April, which is 3 cards. Last night, Robert Dreisker, of course, he is teasing being on those shows because it's wrestling. You'd be surprised if he wasn't. And I guess the Frankfurt shows, I think they've said there's no Corona regulations in Hesse anymore from this weekend. He may well be the only guy from mask on those shows if you go full wrestling on this.
Yeah, he's going to be a man in a balaclava. He's going to get one of them Hungarian balaclavas and run in from the side, maybe.
He saw what Senza Volto and Igel Blanc didn't. I want a piece of that, which, hey, who can blame him?
They were €25, I think, weren't they? So,
I mean, probably not practical in the middle of summer, but give it 7 or 8 months and be
You'd be
back
right.
to weather for it. Elsewhere, guess we cursed WXW a bit. The show that was meant to have been this coming Sunday in Erfurt got moved to July 17th. Turingans extended their COVID measures. I believe that was one of the first shows WXW had to reschedule at the start of COVID. Remember, Tass was telling me like there's one show in particular that they moved back in 2020 when COVID first hit. And Erfurt is still yet to be done with. Yeah. One day we'll get there, but
it's probably a decision from the local promoter, because I think the thing that maybe it's not always clear is I understand that a lot of the shows in the towns you've not heard of, to be kind of the polite way of saying it, the towns you've not heard, there are a lot of the times they're promoted by sort of local promoters that they say, yes, we want a WXW show in, Obertraubling or something like that. I think it's probably a decision of the local promoter, isn't it?
Sebastian Holmischel does, I forget which town it is, but I know whenever they come out, like he's really hot, more than usual on the promotion, which makes sense.
Yes.
Elsewhere, WXW's put out a call for wrestlers taking part in a wildcard edition of the Wheel of Wrestling series over Tag Festival weekend.
Yes.
They did a few years back for Ambition. A-Kid, Daniel McBay, Taylor Rust / Rust Taylor, Dominic Greeny. They've all been listed as folks who benefited from that. No limitation who or what they're looking for. Just been asking wrestlers to send a CV, some promo pictures, and links to matches of theirs if it's online. It's scheduled for Monday, October 3rd. Of course, Tag Festival this year is over a bank holiday weekend in Germany, so it's not like people have been asked to go to a wrestling show on Monday lunchtime instead of work. But I mean,
why not? I mean, I have to admit, I've always thought they probably could run a show on Monday because there's so many people. There's so many people who are like just waiting to get flights home. I'd just get a flight at 7 in the afternoon, 7 in the evening instead of 11 in the morning.
And just pray that BA don't mess you around like they have me last few times. But
do the show at 2
o'clock. Have them today. But see, I mean, these wildcard things, we've kind of said. I think it's more of a way to get notes. So, like, I would expect, things Felix's email address. We've said in the past he watches a lot of stuff off IWTV. So, a lot of folks, I think it's like will put you up in hotels and give you access to Tag Festival weekend. So obviously it's for cost of tickets, I guess.
The thing is, if you're on that wildcard show, you're going to be booked elsewhere on that weekend, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we saw with with the Smash guys over Carat weekend. Von Vertical's in Europe. He's done ICW, he's done a bunch of promotions in England as well. But you're not, if you're making a call to, even try and get associated bookings, elsewhere. It's not just me. You flew yourself over. Yeah, you've got a couple of bookings in England. Southwest Wrestling, Modern Nomad, ICW, whoever's going to book you. And we're just going to use this one show. Odds are will probably pull you in for maybe an inner circle, maybe whatever else. So, and again, it's getting my foot in the door. So, yeah, if things line up, it's hardly the worst choice guys can make, I guess.
Bet on yourself.
I've seen a lot of people do that, and spectacular results, I guess, could say. And I guess go back. That was maybe one of the things a few years back people were going on about when it was that big rush of the NXT contracts. And I want to go back a few years for something else. Of course, this weekend's WrestleMania weekend. No one from Europe sat running in Dallas this year, I think.
No European promotions, and really worker-wise, not that many that not huge, but not WXW people anyway. Not that I can see anyway.
There's been names who've done Counts and what have you, but
Michael Oku's probably the biggest European worker. Obviously, Tim Thatcher returns this weekend. He returns from retirement this weekend, so that's
against Tomohiro Ishii's one of the big matches,
and he's on Bloodsport, which will probably, as of recording, you've probably missed it. But so Bloodsport, and so Thatcher's return is probably the most interesting thing, sort of, for anything with WXW implications, but yeah, bit of a lean weekend this weekend for WrestleMania.
But like say, no European promotions. But if you I mean, 2 years ago it was meant to be a 16 Carat Gold Revenge in Tampa. I think the only thing I would say,
yeah, they didn't announce very much. No,
I think the only announced was that Leon Van Gasteren against Bobby Guns for the title, and that actually played into the closed set shows because obviously the match didn't happen. Leon didn't get his match, and that was a bit of a source of consternation, I guess you'd say.
I get the impression they probably would have hoped to have built a few things to that over the Carat weekend, because obviously it would have been less than a month after Carat. But I think obviously once we got there, I think this is probably the last of it for a while.
Yeah, and again, looking back at the the news of the time,
yeah,
again, hindsight's 2020, but one thing was the killer blow, I guess, was that travel ban that the states put in. Anyone from the Schengen area, from Europe, effectively, if you'd been in Europe in the last 30 days, you weren't allowed. Well, that was 2 or 3 weeks before WrestleMania. That instantly was like, nope. And again, obviously, WrestleMania weekend, as it was known, didn't happen. Okay, so the empty performance center stuff, which there was hardly anything. I don't think there was any indie stuff, and obviously last year it came back. This is probably the first, I'd say, normal
proper Mania weekend. Yeah,
obviously no IWTV stuff, no European, but 3 years ago, 2019, WXW did run WrestleMania weekend in New York. Amerika is Wunderbar. It was on Fight, doing live. Obviously went on WXW now afterwards. Pretty much as close to an authentic WXW show you'd get in the States. It wasn't the, with all due respect, the show they ran with Combat Zone Wrestling, I think a bit later in the year. This was a lot of the core WXW roster with one or two locals as opposed to maybe a 50-50 thing. I mean, you can run down the card, but Tommy Geeson hosting, Sebastian Hall, Jeremy Graves did commentary in English live, which I remember watching the show live and reviewing it. It was an absolute blast just because it was like, hey, you hear these guys on WXW now, but seeing it live and seeing people we know live enjoying it, and clearly a lot of the guys who were there kind of seemed very surprised by the amount of, I'd say, recognition, just the amount of folks following to New York. And you've got us crazy who go to Germany, but to follow them from England, Ireland to Germany, then to the States as well. That really made things blow up a lot more.
I think it was a sort of general memories of the show. It was I do remember it being sort of top of the card was fine. I particularly loved the Darby Allin Avalanche match. That was brilliant. The Sarah Classico, as I think it was dubbed. There was a few Europeans who I think will save their dignity. There's a few Europeans who tried getting a number of the sort of our chants over. There was a few tops off for the Avalanche chants. There was obviously attempts at the Bobby Guns stuff as well, but it wasn't. I don't think people really got it.
Yeah, I know the tops of Avalanche caught Jeremy completely off guard on commentary.
Yeah. Yes, so there was a few of those, but yeah, it looked like an absolute blast, and I've kind of said a few times, I think WrestleMania is not a thing that interests me at all because I have Carat, I don't need it. But like, I think
by Mania time.
Yeah, we've already had it. WrestleMania doesn't appeal to me, but I've always thought that if I ever went to a WrestleMania weekend, I'd go to WXW. I'd go to Rev Pro and probably go home on Saturday evening, sort of thing. Yeah. So it's but kind of in general, the top to bottom, the show was really good. I think you'll probably go through the card in a minute, but I remember the main event, Bobby versus Irie, which was alluded to post because that was Guns' first defense following the title, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the whole story was Irie was the only guy who had beaten Guns twice in the head. So it wasn't like, obviously Carat 2019 was Lucky Kid. He had a mid-card match, middle of a card match, which we'll touch on briefly just because of who the other guy was, which odd, I guess, because he won Carat and the whole storyline afterwards was not around him. but he had Ilya was the guy, the big title challenge. But we can run through the card. I mean, obviously, no Walter or Ilya. They were both under WWE contracts at the time. Walter, in fact, was 24 hours away from winning the NXT UK belt. Ilya was a couple of weeks away from debuting. So, yeah,
that was the really good takeover. That was the really, really good takeover match, wasn't it? Yeah. So I know they mostly are good, but that was the one which basically stole the show, wasn't it?
Stole the whole weekend for me, WWE side of things. Just go through the card. Opener was LAX, now Proud and Powerful, I guess, in AEW, Ortiz and Santana. EYFBO, and about 10,000 other names, Team Bazuzu and beyond. Went over the Crown, Alexander James and Ian Simmons. Avalanche, we already touched on, really good competitive squash over Darby Allin. Joe Grace, I think she was subbing for Lufisto, beat you. Not you, but no Japanese wrestler you.
That was kind of the only one which was a bit of a these are two people who weren't really WXW people.
Yeah, I mean, you.
Although I suppose you was on.
She's been on a few shows, but maybe not quite as regular. Which then we had the Shotgun title, which I think this one to me on the night even fell flat. Emil Satoshi, when he was doing this whole emo Phil Neville stuff against Mari Solani, which I don't think the match would seem in WXW these days, mind, just for various reasons. But Emil won the Shotgun title over the Carat Weekend, I remember.
Another thing to just quickly mention about Satoshi, that same weekend, actually, I think it may have even been the same night. Satoshi and Avalanche were both in the MLW Battle Riot show.
Yes,
they were in the Big Rumble, and obviously this is actually the memory I actually more was MJF paying off Avalanche to basically to protect him during the match, and it was quality. I mean, it's if you've on Twitter today, obviously, as of recording, MJF was trying to talk up the Great O'Khan. It's like he's just got a great in bodyguards, really, isn't
he? He's got an eye for talent.
Wardlow, Avalanche, and the Great O'Khan. I mean, you can't go much worse for me. That's a dream 3-man stable.
Maybe get Gideon Gray back in to do the mouthpiece stuff, but I'm just furiously scrolling through Cage Match for that MLW thing.
Yeah, the Battle Riot. Yeah.
The problem was they had a show called Battle Riot.
Yeah.
So this was April 5th, the MLW show. We have a Battle Riot 2. That's why I couldn't find it. And Satoshi and Dreiskin. They were two ones who I think Dreiskin might have done more. He faced Tom Lawler for an MLW title as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just in for that match. So it was more than just that, and obviously the Crown as well. Also that same day, the infamous Blackcraft show, which
they was on that, weren't they?
Well, blink and you miss it kind of thing. I remember they were in that 5-way tag match that didn't even go 4 minutes. All due respect, and I know it was that documentary about that Blackcraft show, but it was a mess, and I think it was literally one of those blink, and you probably would miss them if you took your eyes off the screen for a second. But
wasn't Absolute Andy booked somewhere else that weekend? Or am I misremembering?
Oh,
it's entirely possible. Regardless, while you furiously Google
cage match, I mean, he did. Mercury Rising, the WWN Super Show gimmick against Anthony Henry. Of course, he was going to win the Full Impact Pro title that night. But so it wasn't just really having WXW guys there for that one show, and then they all potched off home. They were a lot of the guys were booked elsewhere, which
that's the beauty of them weekends. That is, I think, that is the thing which is most exciting, because I think it's the most exciting thing about these WrestleMania weekends is obviously that's where you get somebody. There's a few matches sort of this weekend with sort of in particular like Oku. We're kind of going a bit off topic, but like Oku is obviously being thrown in with some completely different people, and obviously you'd expect probably if the WXW are out there, they probably be doing something very similar.
Well, give it a few years and you never know. I mean, carrying for the lineup, so I had Lucky Kid beat David Starr, which It was a good match, but post-match stuff, which maybe overshot the whole
Yeah,
thing.
that was the whole thing where they had they cut the promo, didn't they?
On WWE live feed, yeah, if you watched on Fight, the show it all, but the replay, WWE cut it.
Yeah, it's not in the
Um,
replay, is it? Yeah, I can't even remember the content of the promo, but it was basically against the network and whatever it was.
yeah,
Wasn't
it's
it?
like
Yeah.
Walter won't face me in a WWE ring. You're hiding behind your contract, so I'm gonna have to quit. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I guess we're starting the whole thing for Carat 2020, where yeah, but second half, well, it wasn't an Bishop show carried on. Chris Brooks over Absolute Andy. Aussie Open defended the WWE tag titles over Anthony Henry and James Drake, which, I mean, we forget 2019, Schadenfreude was making a big push into XW, and that
Oh
kind of,
Christ, yeah.
yeah. And then main event, we touched on Bobby Guns beat Shakira Irie. Joe Janela came out afterwards to challenge Bobby Guns. They did the street fight at the Superstars Wrestling show late that year. And we were talking the other day, that all built up to Joey Janela, built up from Janela retweeting a video from the after party at Carat.
Yeah, there was Bobby Guns being crowd because you don't do the after parties, do you, Ian?
On media weekends, no, it's usually
No.
too much photos or what
Yeah.
have you, and yeah, I like sleep too much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, us are irresponsibles. Yeah, the Bobby Guns sort of crowd surfed post title win because that was obviously the weekend he won the belt. And there was the whole thing about Joey. I can't remember the exact tweet. I could probably find it, but I'd have to look for it. Joey basically said like, "Oh, these Europeans think this is how they throw a party and whatever it is." And yeah, basically they kind of built the match from just a tweet from. I mean, I assume that would have been something that would have been worked anyway, but Gianella sort of. But it was a sort of an interesting dynamic, and I think especially for the way that WXW was, I think at that point still blowing up, and I think it was blowing up more internationally than, as in more than just the Europe. It was kind of going beyond Europe at that point. A lot of people, sort of the American fans that I knew, were kind of very, very excited by Gianella versus Guns, and I think it was a good angle to sort of end the show on because I think it ended up being a pretty decent match by all accounts. Was that the show where they had the fire alarm, the Superstars of Wrestling?
I think that was Shortcut at the top. I was like
It
bang
might
in
have
the
been
middle
a
of summer.
shortcut, yeah.
I've actually found a tweet. So I think WXW must run
Could have
like
been shortcut because I was at that shortcut.
may well be in Superstars. I remember there was one shot that had all that, but I found a tweet and I think WXW runs like a scraper where like old posts get or old videos get deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come to Germany and really show this asshole how to really party. This looks like a sweet 16. Bobby's reply was, "All right, teach me how to party and I'll teach you how to wrestle." And then going through, you can see like Tony Deppen replied. There's a fair few retweets and like so. Again, that was something that was decided back in March. That's a long-term story, long-term planning at least. It's not just I will book this guy, I'll have him come for a show, and
Yeah.
so, yeah. So no, this was more than just your isolated. Hey, we're WXW, we've come to town, and he's 3 stars, and we can put all of your all us against your local guys, kind of thing. As honest to God,
that show could have been in Hamburg.
Yeah,
no problem. Yeah, absolutely no problem.
Again, no, don't know how we get to something like this again. I mean, WWN doesn't exist as it did back then. Evolve's being sold off to WWE. I think right now WWN is like Shine, FIP, and I think the last I saw we've got like a series on YouTube. It's like Proving Ground thing, which is literally in a warehouse. But again, WXW this year rightly focusing on their home market. We said, the scene as it is now is not a mistake to have European promotions over there and do numbers. I mean, we've seen the past promotions go over there and I don't say embarrass themselves, but embarrass themselves. So, again, give it a few years, have things bubble up, get the buzz going. Who knows? But it's the one and only Mania weekend show.
You could possibly get something, maybe not. It wouldn't be in America, but you'd maybe possibly with the the September potentially mooted show in Cardiff. That's mooted with WWE, isn't it? I don't know. You could maybe get. I wonder whether is it Survivor Series or whatever it is going to be in Cardiff. You do wonder if maybe you will get a bit of a mini village of promotions around it. But I mean, that being said, they'll be thundering towards Tagfest by then, so you think they're probably not.
Yeah, I mean, for the moment, I don't think that WWE show's been announced. Obviously, we schedule's got that traditional summer break.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, personally, if they do, I hope it's not Cardiff. Went to an Attack show there years ago. It's a pain to get to.
Well, it can be, but it's what cars and trains are for, isn't it?
Well, true. But so anyway, going away from the big weekend to one show from the last big weekend we briefly touched on. So I think since we last recorded, Wheel of Wrestling 28 dropped on demand.
I don't think we really wanted to go too in depth on it because I think it had only literally just come out. We was just going from memory, I think, weren't we?
Yeah, it only just come out, and I think was maybe an issue with the English feed, something like that. But anyway, one match that was recorded on the afternoon didn't make the VOD. Golden Boy Santos beating James Runyon with the Midas touch lariat. Again, I don't know what call was, but it wasn't on the VOD, so it was happened.
I don't remember it being something wrong with it, so I don't know. I'm not sure about that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to speculate, but again, no, it happened. But the main show opened with a brief promo, I guess you'd say.
Well, he didn't even say a word.
Well, that's what I said. Brief. Tristan Archer came out. Boy, he could say a word. Fuminori Abe's music hit. We did the whole point, I want your belt thing. Francis Caspin booked the match. And that's what you need. I want your belt. No need to do one piece. And segment was over in a few minutes. Opening tag match, we had the main roster debut of was it the Gullius brothers, so Gullius Vilmos and Gullius Debunian.
or whatever it is, yeah.
And their Not Kid Lycos theme against Jörn Simmons and Levaniel. I think this is more them trying to put Jörn and Levaniel back together. They were teams, friends. Obviously had to fight in the title match the previous night. Pretty decent match. I think we went about 6 minutes, but again, it was more about getting Jörn and Levaniel back on the page since they were planning to do something with them in Frankfurt. Obviously, plans changed. We'll touch on, but I thought the Gullies really good as a team against special Jörn, an established roster member.
Yeah, for sure. They're a good sort of pair of young bulls. I think the bulls is a good way to describe them. They're a bit of a house of fire sort of team. I did enjoy, particularly towards the end of it, we got to see Squash Jörn, basically Jörn doing his Batista thing, which I think ever since he's sort of discovered that he can do that work like that, it's just brilliant.
That extra gear he's needed.
Yeah, it's an extra gear, and I think but he also, the whole moonsault thing is a bit of an odd thing, but it looks great. Sort of going on the whole Batista squash thing he did. I remember the first match he did on Shotgun 2020 when it returned was when he did it against I want to say Paris, the Greek lad. That was like 50 seconds, and it was one of the best squash matches I think I've ever seen in my life. It was a good fun match. It was a good sort of you can obviously see where they were going from that, in the sense that I think didn't Levaniel in the promo pre-match say like, he said something along the lines of it being, he thanked, he said like, 2 years ago I was in this match and now
I was telling stories, with a gauntlet, and but love will make it, that kind of thing. Which again, we said this in the last episode. With Levaniel 2 years ago, Carat was the comedy guy with DJ Hyde, and the fact that they managed to get him from Matt to, even rewatching for reviews, I was biting hard on those knee falls he had.
Yeah,
that's a sign. It's not about the in-ring bell to bell. It helps, but you can get a character really connection with the crowd. That's what really matters.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the growth of Lavagno is just astonishing. Really, I kind of never really thought he would get to this level, but um, I mean, could you argue he's possibly like the biggest character in the company now at this point? I don't know. He's in terms,
Definitely promo segments and all that. Yeah,
yeah, for sure, and like
Himmel Schloss and all that.
he's incredibly popular. I think I do think there's an element which is lost. I think for me personally, because the promos are all in German, I have to wait to watch them afterwards. But then I'm also not the main audience for it, so yeah, it's yeah, it was a great opener, and I think sort of as the show goes on, it was a good start to a pretty good show anyway.
So move on, Matt. So had a rematch in a circle. Ava Everett beat Oshi. Again, things pretty decent for the time they had. I think again across the whole weekend, I've spoken to a few others since. I don't know if we said last time Oshi's only been around for a few months, so at least in terms of what we've seen on Cage Match listing on for Hungarian Championship Wrestling. There's someone who's not that far in the business. Been well impressed, even in the losing roles, well impressed with progression so far. And I know the other Hungarians did the rest of the week, the academy. They did that academy live show, which unfortunately didn't make tape. Which, yeah. But no matter, if I could, I wish I could have moved things around and seen it live. But again, we said this last time. The Hungarians have made a hell of an impression. I think stuff like this, someone who was there for in a circle. Do the same match again, and two completely different matches. It wasn't just a case of, we'll just run back Thursday.
Yeah, it was a lot shorter than the one on Thursday, wasn't it? The one on Thursday, yeah.
The first one, I want to say, was about 10-15. This one's about 5. So, because again, you had to do two different matches. You couldn't just go, I'll just do the final 5 minutes of this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, it was fine. This match, it wasn't excellent. I think Ava, I'm not sure really what to make of Ava Everett. Really, especially, well, as you'd know, Ava Everett is obviously the champion at this point. But I'm not particularly over enamored, but she's got the belt and thinking, I believe she's back to America at the end of the month, or at the end of April, sorry. So probably not going to have that much longer really with her as champion, unless she takes it with her, which entirely
There's been
possible.
weird things. I mean, the shotgun
yeah,
belt.
There's been weirder things. Yeah, the shotgun belt went on tour with David Starr, I suppose. So, but I don't really see that being that thing, because I don't really think Everett works a lot of places in the States, does she? So
maybe a match in Limitless, but yeah, we can see.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I had a video, and I mean, I had to wait for the subtitle version as well. So it was Oscar rotation, Faiz Aguilar with Anil Marek, of course. Anil had a shoulder injury, so he couldn't wrestle at all over the crowd weekend. They'd booked a 6-man tag, Margaret, Baby Allison, Heisenberg against rotation, Faiz and Oscar. Scream here if you want. But the whole interview is interrupted by Coach Dreisker. Fused they weren't happy doing a rematch. Having not been embarrassed enough by them. Dreisker tried to intimidate everyone apart from Oscar, which I thought was a bit noteworthy. Like he was staring down, Faiz, he was staring down Anil. And saying, no, you don't have my approval of this, but do whatever, that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, the match again was fine. It was one of these where
I thought this match was great.
Sorry?
I thought this match was great. I'm just looking at your review of it. 2 and 3 quarters.
I must have been in a bad mood for this one, but I mean,
yeah.
Again, I think the whole thing was, they painted as the Academy guys being, we're going up against, against what name have they given? So I know Dave Bradshaw tried to call them the family, and I guess for NXT UK, given Lucky Kids Gang, De Familia, that's maybe a bit too close, but
the faction is called Maggot, Baby Allison, and Vincent Heisberg. That's
again with that, it's the whole thing. The Academy's having another goal, and maybe it's proven well. maybe Coach Dreisker was right. That was maybe the story coming out of it. As much as you don't like him, it's that whole thing said back in the day. The heels are always right. You just hate to agree with him, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think the whole implication was that Dreisker was he felt you can almost actually in a way draw a line back to the kayfabe Schlag match from January, and it's almost as if like this is where Dreisker's he lost face in this match and consistently against a trainee that went rogue in Heisenberg. Heisenberg previously part of the academy sort of setup. Trainee went rogue with Maggot, who I think going years back on Shotgun, I could have sworn there was a whole thing about Maggot being like untrained and. Am I right in thinking that? Because there was the thing with Ringkampf, wasn't there?
Yeah, vague. Like I know the whole thing of,
and maybe I have to look into that again. But
there was
the
Shotgun's on the WXW now. Yeah,
the idea that somebody can just walk away from the academy, join somebody he's a rough boy. Let's say that for Maggot, a rough lad, not trained in the academy, and then still turn over the head coach. And the rest of the team and the star pupil, it's a loss of face for him. And obviously the events that happen later on, I think, speak for that. But you can almost draw a line back to that.
I guess maybe one, I'll say big spot, but like for one big takeaway from a lot of people hadn't missed. Baby Allison rotation, obviously, WXW's long since dispensed for whole intergender thing, if you want to use that term.
Oh, yes.
Baby Allison chopped rotation. First, she had that. Well, we went face to face. He didn't want to hit her. She threw her first shot. It's like, well, F you, and that whole thing went up. Like,
it was completely unexpected as well.
It's just refined me, like rotations for the good boy.
Yeah, he's the most wholesome.
Wouldn't say boot or goose, that kind of thing, and just that five that you rarely see. But yeah, so again, I probably have been a bit harsh on the rating, but again, these aren't exactly scientific. But yeah, the end bit, Fayaz kind of did get squashed as the elevated, what is that, mutual lock thing that Allison does.
And once again has justified why Dreisker was furious at him, because
went against his word, and
they somebody in who's what's the word, unassuming, not unassuming, but basically not unworthy of sort of being representative of the academy, because I don't think he'd represented it before then. So
no, because the whole thing during the MTV Arena shows went, because obviously stuff with Fayaz and Heisenberg, cost Heisenberg a match against Senzu, and Igel Blanc got his head shaved, and that whole thing of he's training about donkeys ready, and the whole thing with Fayaz has been he's been put on shows without Dreisker's approval from day one. It's always been he went to the office or rotations put him in, that kind of thing. So it's it's a nugget that's there, and I know in GWF he's got the whole loser weight thing, but when he comes good, you've got that whole natural storyline of with Dreisker. Well, I'm proving you wrong. You've got that whole thing to run with.
Yeah, I mean he is a sort of a lower level worker in like all across the country, really. So he's sort of outside of WXW. He is someone who has got a bit of credit to them. But obviously within WXW, no. But I have played him at darts, funny enough, on a weekend. that's completely off topic.
We've got a dartboard for Tag League.
Yes, 680 Carat Gold. Yeah,
a bit too expensive, mind. Don't want to get 16 cards enough. But next up, a Shotgun Lottery. So again, Ninja Mac, he won the title the night before, up against Tajabo, and that was one we mentioned earlier about you turn up for any of the shoulder shows, you get thrown on. It's Jabo's debut.
Chance going to be on them,
I think it was Nitro in Hungarian Champion Wrestling. Dave Bradshaw kept throwing up on commentary. Again, it was fine for what it was. I think it was another one 6 minutes long.
It was a bit disappointing, this one. I think it's one of the low. I cannot think of a single thing that happened in this match apart from being incredibly disappointed when he walked out. And I mean that as no disrespect, but it wasn't. There was hundreds of people, not hundreds, but there was lots of people who could have been in the lottery, and it's like, it's Thomas Sherbo, okay.
And I think as well because
Yeah.
again, it's all everyone overthinks these things, but I don't think many people would have expected Ninja Mac to go back to the States with a title. It's like, does he lose a team then when we see, with all due respect, a name that making his main roster debut? It's like,
Yeah. Well, it's a
yeah,
lottery, isn't it? It's a lottery, isn't it? So
yeah,
yeah.
literally.
So I get it. I do get it, but it wasn't a thing I really have any particularly fond memories of.
So we'll go for the next match and talk about lotteries, a wild card tag match, and I guess this was
This
the
is great fun.
random partner stuff we maybe wanted on the Saturday show. So you start off with Nikita Charisma coming out first to the Rotten Flop music. Then it's like his partner Dennis Stolnik, because they've been in a feud,
which is gold.
Mm-hmm. Sebastian Suave and Lawrence Roman, who does not, maybe looks a bit like a certain NXT UK referee. On the opposite team, Michael Schenkenberg, Psycho Mike, Vaughn Vertigo, and Norman Harras.
Yeah,
his career has incredibly in Lucha, but this was your comedy match for the weekend.
Yeah, it was certainly one of them. Although the one on Sunday night was probably one that people will remember more. This was better than that one. Psycho Mike was incredibly over at this show on this match. Although there was obviously the whole thing with Nikita Charisma waiting for Schenkenberg to come out. They come out and then they realise, hang about, we're not together.
On opposite teams.
So there was kind of all that sort of elements. Psycho Mike sort of being coerced by Rotten Flot to do their bidding.
On the dark side.
Yeah. There was. What else was there?
But teased to think a poke of doom stuff.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff on there. It's definitely one that it was engaging throughout the whole thing.
The sit down protest, Psycho Mike stopping Taz doing a count when Rotten Flot were trying to pin each other. Yeah. Dennis Stolnik going, that's a steal loss. When you've got someone as unhinged as him asking what's wrong with Psycho Mike, there's issues. That's all I'm going to say, guys. Yeah, I mean, let's say, how long did this one go? Quarter for now. I mean, again, we've seen like comedy matches go along, people complain. It's perfectly fine. To me, I thought it was probably one of the matches of the show.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it was different. It wasn't just random 4-on-4 tag. You actually had the guys into playing off each other really well. It wasn't just and some of the promotions probably would have done this. Them playing off the Shanda stuff, beats to death like like Dead Horse kind of thing. You had stuff. If those who went to in a circle, you had the Sebastian Suave, Norman Harris body slam stuff. They, I think eventually got to work, and obviously Psycho Mike, working that hard, come to death. But I think, in terms of the fun side of WXW, at least what we're known for, this is one I'd put up there as a very recent example of it's more than just the in-ring stuff. But we roll on. We've got Eva Kolaski with Dan Molman. She's upset because she lost the title. And this, I think, is the sign of a change in attitude, if you want to use that.
Yeah.
It wasn't I'm going to fight my time and get it back. Was more, Stan brought up, Ava had to cheat to beat Orshi. And it was like, well, I don't care about Orshi. It's that whole thing, which it seemed rather sudden and then went straight to a match. She beat Guy Glass in about 2 minutes. Not much to it. It's Eva getting back in the win column. Another video done with Michael Knight and Bobby Guns. They won the Rotten Flot tag gauntlet night before. Obviously, the long feud they had wrapped up at Back to the Roots. They kind of said we're going to be a tag team. Well, here you go. As for match, it's good, but then I think we mentioned this for time. It ended with that unfortunate injury.
We did go into this one, I think, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, match itself is fine.
Yeah.
you could tell was the whole thing of was more they wanted to do, and then fate intervened. Thankfully, Michael Knight's fine. We're doing a match again this weekend. I mean, just based on what I saw there, this particular pairing at least, does have legs, I would say.
Yeah, and I think they're two singles guys who sort of have established themselves sort of, well, Knight in sort of less time, but obviously Guns will speak for itself. It's one of these. It's a tag team which obviously they're going to pick up a lot of wins simply by being, because they're considered the big stars. But I think they did work really well together. They're kind of doing this whole the t-shirt for this tag team. I think they're calling themselves Only Friends, and they're kind of doing this whole hand holding thing, which I don't quite understand. And they're riding zebras.
I think it's a spoof of the Best Friends in AEW.
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose you're right. There's a bit of an odd pairing, but we've only seen one match from him, so 2 matches from them, so it's kind of, you're interested to see where that goes with that.
And whatever substance the t-shirt design was on, let us know. We'd like to try some.
I don't know. The former commentator might have been selling things like that at some point, but
well,
yeah,
I can see too much of that weekend. Let's put it like that. But go main event before we get ourselves into too much trouble. Fuminori Abe, Tristan Archer, Archer's first title defense. Again, much like the Robson Ninja Max stuff. I don't think anyone's expecting Abe to win, particularly because
that would have been a hell of a shock. It would have been.
It would have certainly told was what 350 who's there.
It would have been dead funny if they'd changed every single title on this show, and everybody turns up on Sunday night and they go, "What the hell's happened here?" That would have been incredibly funny.
Hang on a second. When I went to bed last night, Tristan Archer was champion. Why the hell is it Fuminori Abe?
Yeah, that would have been great.
Well, Taz, Felix, 1 year. There's your idea. Just don't blame us if it backfires on you. But I mean, again, it's the first defense. I thought it was credible. It wasn't like random guy off the street. Abe built up a following and some support over the weekend. And yeah, I mean, again, it was a pretty straightforward win. Archer's had back from at the end, establishing himself. I think that's what we need to do because, as we said before, WXW's schedule is, I'd say, at the moment, erratic, just in terms of the shows we can and can't run, or shows we are running ahead. So you don't get the luxury, I guess, of having a show where it's like, he is Tristan Archer non-title, singles match just to get embedded in. You may as well hit the ground running when you've got this kind of schedule.
Of course, and also if you have the opportunity to have Fuminori Abe in a title match, then go for it. And history will always look on. In 10 years' time, we'll be able to go, oh, do you remember when Tristan Archer beat Fuminori Abe on a Sunday morning?
One of those wacky things in cage match in 5 or 10 years' time, like.
In the whole thing, like, we mentioned about the absolute Andy Tanahashi match, it's just one of these weird matches that history will look on and go, oh, that's something that happened. So, it was a pretty decent match, well serviced. Abe looked great, obviously, as he did at every match, but it's Archer, it's sort of, at least from a storyline perspective, Tristan Archer's beaten one of the best wrestlers in the world, so.
He's got that featherless cap.
Yeah, he's got that tick in the win column.
Bring us up earlier. Obviously, we talked at the start about the sporting director thing. Have you got any particular shouts you'd want to see come back to that role?
Sporting director. Well, I had 2. Dirty Dragon was obviously number 1, but I don't know how likely that is. But I think he would always be a really good person for it. The other person I'd quite like would be Melanie Gray. Actually, I think as a character, because I think I don't know if she's. Well, she's still active, I think, but I don't know if she's suffering an injury or something like that. But
no, she had a knee injury just before the last Carat before
shutdown,
down,
and I don't know if she's sort of returned from that actually. But I think as a character, at least in the boom period of WXW, I think she was always one of the stronger ones, even if maybe in ring she wasn't to the same standard as some of the other people around her. She was always character-wise, she made up for it. And I think you could definitely see someone like Melzy's always been someone who's incredibly popular. She can do the skit stuff very well. And I think she's the first. She was the first. No, she wasn't the first women's champion. That was Kelly, wasn't it? She's a former women's champion, and she's kind of always been a part of the furniture. And I think it'd be really good. I think she'd just work really well in that position. How about yourself?
I mean, Mel's is not bad. Bad shout. I mean, it's that team shot of Andy. Maybe get some experience. Was with team the amazing, spectacular, invigorating, monumental, wonderful, and historic absolute Andy experience featuring MG. Yes, I did spend the time you search that out. I mean, it's a problem. Like, it's the whole thing of, do I want to play it straight? In which case, I don't know. You can go with me to grab someone from the office.
Well, I think I think there needs to be some humor, because I think there's always been a slight element of humor to WXW in general. So I think you could have a Mikey Schwartz maybe. I don't know how well that. Mikey Schwartz.
Just had a message from Sean with a really good shout, kind of linked to your Dragon call out. Adam Polak.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is he still involved? Because I didn't see him the other weekend, so I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't be top of my list, but
we'll see which direction we go. I mean, they said be starting advertising from the 1st of April, so maybe make something in Frankfurt show this weekend. I guess just to wrap up what they've got announced next few shows. So We Love Wrestling 29 at Batch Cup in Frankfurt. At least when we're recording, we had about 20 tickets left, and they've relaxed all the COVID regulations. So no masks, you don't need proof of vaccination, recovery, etc. Pretty much almost like old times, except there's a lot more seating.
Yes.
Slight change to the card announced earlier today. Main event's now a freeway for the title. Levinel's having to quarantine in his Himmelschloss, so best wishes to him. But while he's quarantining, we've got Tristan Arch defending the Unified World title against Jörn and Axel Tischer.
Yeah.
Stephanie Mays, Fast Time Mudo in a rematch from the show just talked about against Michael Knight and Bobby Guns, and Maggot defending the Shotgun title in a lottery match. I think the top 3 title matches, these are pretty damn good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not expecting any trees to be pulled up, really. I think we're only one, maybe 2 events away from Carat, so I don't really see any changes there, especially in that match. You got opportunities for at least with the shotgun lottery. That's always a sort of a big pop, or if you don't want a big pop, you can put Norman Harris in it. No, come on. Whenever he's a surprise, it's always like, it's Norman Harris. No, we like Norman, honestly. But
his name pulled out a lot, mine, to be fair.
What's that?
I mean, he's had his name pulled out for lottery a lot. Him and
Dennis. Yeah, I think he's bought lots of tickets in this shotgun lottery in the past.
Guess elsewhere, one more title match. Forgot my formatting, blame me. Ava Everett defending women's title against Baby Allison and Eva Klasky. Oscar defending the Academy Cup against Jacob Crane.
Jacob Crane, who's a Polish worker, I understand.
Yeah, he's done some of the Academy Live shows. Been pretty perfectly fine from what I've seen. Again, not on the main roster.
I admit I've not seen
if this is something they, not obviously every show, but make this a bit more of a fixture. If only to give Oscar, a reason to be on the shows, because it's harsh and being praised, but they did have that thing with Rotten Flop that never, went anywhere. I guess
never resolved, I suppose. Yeah.
But at least him having the Academy Cup, it gives one a way to put him on the shows, but 2, I guess as well, anyone who's on those Academy Live shows, it's a reason to I would say a tryout, but for all intents and purposes a tryout, I guess.
Yeah. I think the Academy Cup is a thing which is used as and when it's required. There's been a few Academy Cup champions who they've held it and it's never been mentioned, whereas here it's at least being put on the shows. I think in particular there was Rotation was Academy Cup champion for years, wasn't he? Yeah, I can't remember. And I think obviously Julian Pace, I think, was the same. He had the Academy Cup for a long time, and it was never mentioned. So, yeah, it's by all accounts, Jake, because Jacob Crane was sort of talking the other day on Twitter about he'd driven. He drives about 21 hours to get from Poland. So where in Poland he's from, I have no idea, but he drives 20 odd hours over to sort of the Ruhrpott, and fair play to say this is where your opportunity, where you grab an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, just looking on cage match for Academy Cup. Johnny Evers, Rotation, Timo Feis, Julian Pace, Benjamin Van Ays, Vinny Vortex, Goldboy Santos, and obviously Oscar. So
Timo Feis is a name I've not thought of in a long time.
So he did Shortcut for Top last year.
Yeah.
I know he's had injury problems. Like, just looking at his cage matches, mostly been like the shows we've done for German Comic Cons, like those kind of shows, the Academy shows.
I liked him though. He was. I did like him. I thought he had a sort of good upside.
Blue and Chan Shaisat, from I remember.
Yeah. I don't know how we would fit in nowadays, but I certainly did quite enjoy old Timo Feis.
Anyway, right, I would say like repackaged, but he changed his look a little bit. So, hopefully, whatever. I don't know if it's Ninja's come back or whether it's real world or what have you, but hopefully he managed to find a way back.
For sure.
Elsewhere in Frankfurt, got Rottenflot, obviously Nikita Charisma, Michael Schenkenberg against Dennis Stolnig and Hector. Not Icarus, I put my notes. Don't know why I've said that. Sense of Ultra against Nigel Blanc, but I would guess that might be a bit of a question mark. Senzo injured his neck working for the German Wrestling Federation for the weekend. Still being advertised as we're recording, so it's on the sheet. I think that's pretty much it for the Frankfurt show. Just doing a quick scroll through now. I've actually put the final graphic up now. So, freeway dance shotgun title, women's freeway title, world tag title. Yep. So that's all there for now. We've gotten rid of the individual match graphics. So, 7-match card this Saturday in Frankfurt. Very few tickets left. So, if you're listening to this, you're in Frankfurt, or able to go and want to, hurry the F up, I guess I'd say. Following weekend in Papenburg at the, I'm going to butcher this, so apologies for Alpha Spider. It's the first time they've run Papenburg, I think. Very close to the Dutch border, looking on Google Maps.
I did actually look, because April 9th is my birthday. I did actually look, I was like, where actually is that? But it's not somewhere I could get to and back sort of easily. Well, I could probably do it, but I'm not up for that at the moment in this sort of world. But it's although by the looks of it, all of these shows are going on on WXW now, so I'm excited to see what some of these smaller town shows, which have previously have been the reserve of the odd occasional match appearing on Shotgun. It's quite interesting that they're all going up, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think Felix just a few months back said, until we get to a full schedule, everything's going to be taped. Which means, the venues which previously you've seen, with Catcher Shirt had a handy cam, they're getting the full, big screen bells and whistle treatment, which good for them. We have only announced that so far. We have, that's just pulling up the updated card. So for
Oscar Vincent Heisenberg.
Oscar Heisenberg, Eva Kolaski, Baby Allison, not announced the title match for obvious reason. Check back after Saturday, I guess.
Shotgun title.
Shotgun lottery. So that's the only stuff announced. On the graphic, you've got obviously Rotation, Tristan Archer, Bobby Guns, Michael Knight, Yearn, and so there's probably at least 2-3 matches. I would guess Senzo and Nigel against Only Friends. That's one obvious one to build from that. And that's just me spitballing based on a picture, so we'll see. And then the last one that they have cards up for is in Weyhe at the Sports Center Dashbeck. This is for Slam in Den Mai. It's the end of April. A couple of matches so far on that. We've got Sense of Alto against Igel Blanc against Axel Tischer, Levinel against Vincent Heisenberg, and Sense of Alto against Fast Time Mudo. So again, no, it's going to be matches set for that after Frankfurt and Papenburg, but in fact, we're giving you some stuff to buy a ticket for in a month ahead of time. It's not too bad. And if, like, for two of us, you're going to be watching this on demand, WXW's also announced when these are going to be dropping on WXW now. So it's crack knuckles. So Frankfurt, that'll be dropping on Thursday, April 7th in German. The English commentary is the next day on Friday, the 8th. The Papenburg show is dropping on the 13th. It's a Wednesday night in German. Thursday the 14th in English. So I guess if you've got Easter weekend off work, be dropping plenty of time for you. And Slam and Demai is dropping on Tuesday, May 3rd in German, Wednesday, May 4th in English. If you keep up with WXW through WWE Network and Peacock, there's nothing on this weekend. Again, they don't tend to announce the network release schedules or anything. I know that a few weeks back, the Bielefeld show was meant to drop over Carat Weekend, but got pushed back. So yeah,
they're probably working away how to cut out Jonathan Gresham from the entire tournament.
Yeah, blue dots.
That
time.
I mean, what I will say, and obviously this is my personal view. Don't watch it on the WWE Network. Watch it on WXW now.
I mean, I know I've had others. I don't know if the podcast subtweeting is, but no, compared to like Progress, their shows go up on Progress and WWE at the same time. I'm not paying for the amount of Progress if the same show's going on WWE Network. Now you can say we've got an extra match. At least with WXW, yeah, I'm a homer, so shoot me. The fact that you've got their shows go on 3 days later, and you do have a fairly chunky delay between dropping on WXW now and the network. So, $12 a month, you've got a reason to sign up to WXW now if you're a fan or if you're interested. So you can see the shows straight away. And if they do have to edit out Jonathan Gresham, and I guess we'll see in the fullness of time, well, you've got the whole back catalogue as well. It's not just a match which they don't even advertise. But so like I say, nothing on about the Carat release schedule. So I would guess you're probably looking April, May time. And we're looking what Inner Circle, 3 nights of Carat, Ambitions, 6 shows. I've done the showcases going on. You've got 6 shows there. Unless they release them in one big block, you're probably looking maybe end of May by the time that's all done.
Yeah.
Decide to WXW now, people. They take PayPal if the phone fee's an issue. But I guess so that's all we've got for the lineups. But of course, we're going to have reviews on backbodydrop.com, follow on Mania. And guess Mike, any last plugs or anything you want to squeeze in for?
Not really. To be honest, not really. I'm Mike Kilby on Twitter, on everything else, basically. Outside of wrestling, I do the Groundhoppers guide with Arnold Furious. That's on YouTube. If you just type in Groundhoppers guide, you can find it there, which is a football podcast. Apart from that, no, not really. Not anything to plug. Hopefully soon I will, but not at the moment.
Of course, you can follow me at Ian Wrestling on Twitter or at Big Back Body Drop on Twitter for the website. This weekend, I'm probably going to be fueled by various forms of caffeine. Not watching everything in WrestleMania, but a few things. We touched on Michael Oku at the start. That's about the only real big European influence over the weekend. So we'll see how that goes.
Tim's there. Tim
Thatcher,
Tim and Tom are there.
House in Gelsenkirchen.
Ishii and Thatcher are there, the 2 biggest stars that Europe ever produced.
I'm sure there'll be some of us who will disagree, but Tim needs to find his way to Gelsenkirchen somehow. I just have visions of him rocking up to Essen in a few months, and when everyone's moved out, it's like, oh, they didn't tell me.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks very much for joining this week, Mike. This episode. Say next week we've got Frankfurt show. We'll put on our Twitter what's going on for the next show. But any feedback, feel free to yell at us. We others do anyway, and we'll see you down the road, guys.
See you later.